So let me just start with that. About wide receiver position, first round, and I do believe it's the bust position as I listed all the guys that have busted last 5 drafts. I think a lot of it is if you got a bad offensive coordinator that can't scheme you open, like Kyle Shanahan can, if you have a quarterback that can't get you the ball, if you have a bad offensive line and the quarterback doesn't have time to throw, a receiver position, with very few exceptions, is largely beholden to everything working on the offensive line, play calling, quarterback. That's my takeaway on why you see so many busts. Go back to your career, Greg. It worked for you. Was some of it because you had support on the offensive line and at quarterback?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's the wide receiver position. It's you're dependent on so many others and variables aligning for you to have success. It's tough to just go to a situation, let's just call it the first round, and specifically early in the first round, where typically teams are looking for things that they don't have, and they're trying to put together so many pieces, whether they don't have a quarterback or they don't have an offensive line or they don't have a running game, and there's so many open, gaping holes within offenses and defenses and just teams in general that one player is not going to make a difference, and it definitely is not going to make a difference if you acquire a wide receiver and you don't have the support to get that receiver involved with, i.e., play calling or a good thrower of the football. So it's tough. And in my position, I walked into a almost ready-made situation where the quarterback was established. It was Brett Favre. And then you had an offensive line that had some problems, but then I walked into a receiver room where I wasn't the number one guy. I had Donald Driver to my left and Robert Ferguson and other guys, and I ended up getting the starting position. But I also had a young coach, play caller, Mike McCarthy. We came in together. We were able to do it his way together, and it worked. We thrived, and we created something special, and a Super Bowl came out of it.
I think it's a bad idea for Green Bay. Reports out there they would look at a quarterback first round. And my takeaway is, listen, Aaron dropped in the draft. Aaron went to a junior college. Aaron has never had the great defenses of Russell Wilson or Tom Brady. Aaron had to sit for 3 years out of college. He's got a chip on his shoulder. But you know what? He's earned it. I don't believe he's the kind of personality that is best served poking in the ribs. I think he wants support. I think he deserves support. I think it's a mistake with Aaron to go get a quarterback. I think it sends the wrong message, and he is somebody that can be a tad sensitive. I'm not trying to be critical. I don't like Green Bay doing this. I'll totally support Aaron on this. What say you?
Okay. In the first round, no. I think you can spend your first-round draft pick wiser than on a backup quarterback who's not going to get any snaps at other positions. Aaron, whether it be a guy on defense that can get the ball back to him, or a tight end, or a wide receiver, or an offensive lineman that's going to protect him, some in a position that will benefit him. After the first round, though, I don't have a problem with them starting to plan for a future, because we have this idea that that quarterbacks are just going to last forever. And we've seen what Green Bay looks like without Aaron Rodgers. We all know how special he is. But the reality of it is if you don't start planting seed now, the harvest that you hope to have, it may never come. So it's like, why not even consider it? Not first round, no, because you do have a quarterback who is established, who has some time left. And whatever that looks like, it's going to be better than probably 90% of the quarterbacks in our league today. So even when he's falling off, whatever that ends up looking like. So I think they do have wiggle room, but no one wants to be in that situation where they don't know who's going to be handed off that baton when a great Hall of Fame quarterback like Aaron Rodgers decides to walk away from the game.
I'm going to throw this at you. I didn't defend Dak an hour ago. I didn't defend him, but I tried to explain how he's thinking. So when do people act out? When they don't get their way. Everybody on the Cowboys has been given a contract, many players early. He's 40-24, 2 division titles, and plays the most important position. He's not currently under contract. I don't think it was a smart move to have a party at his house. But he's also reportedly said to the team, I'm not going to OTAs if we have them without a contract. And the reason you give a manager of a restaurant a piece of the restaurant because you get a different employee. And that I think Dak, subconsciously or consciously, is saying, you've paid everybody on this roster. It doesn't feel the same for me. I'm not all in. I'm going to push back on authority. And I'm not defending him. I'm trying to explain why he would do what he did with the party. He says there were 10 people. TMZ says 30 at his house. That we all feel differently based on how we're treated. And Dak feels like he's being jobbed by this organization. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. But I think he's tired of it and pushing back on authority. Do you see at least an idea of maybe why, if he had $200 million in his pocket, he wouldn't throw that party? He'd say, Zeke, stay home. We got to be good. But right now, he doesn't have a contract. He's seemingly the only Cowboy without a contract, and he's pushing back. Am I nuts?
No, he's a loner. He's a loner. He's basically out on an island by himself right now, and it's uncomfortable. And so when you're on an island and you've realized, you know what, nobody's trying to come and get me, if you have the ability to bring people to the island, you're going to do it. And that's what we've seen Dak Prescott do. I'm not faulting him. I'm not saying what's right or wrong. His feelings are coming from that place of, number one, feeling disrespected, feeling slighted. He's hurt. He feels betrayed. Like, there are so many different words that can be inserted in how he's feeling and what he's feeling. And a lot of us have felt it in some way, in some form and fashion within our lives. And so the way you, as you're calling it, act out in the National Football League is to say, you know what, I'm not participating. I'm not going to render my services if you're not going to give me what I feel like I've earned and I'm deserving of. He has played by the rules from day one. The one Cowboy that has played by the rules from day one, Dak Prescott, done everything you've asked. When it was come out to the 50, to the logo and lock hands with Jerry, and we're going to stand as a team, Dak was right there. When it was, you know what, we're gonna do it a certain way, Dak was he was the calling card. He was the voice. He was the one that Jerry made sure, Dak, you with me? Absolutely. When Ezekiel Elliott was out and he was sitting out, asked Dak Prescott any kind of question, he always praised his teammate. He understood the business. Why? Because he knew in the back of his head, in the back of his mind, that could potentially be me. So I'm not going to knock him because I don't know what I would do if I was in that situation. Now we're finding out what he would do because he's in that situation.
Hey, I said it earlier. I've acted out when I don't feel I'm being respected. So I'm an old guy. He's a kid. So okay, now, there was a report at a WFAN radio in New York, OBJ, Minnesota, discussing a trade not done being discussed. I just had a source 3 minutes ago who I trust say he doesn't think he's getting traded to the Vikings. He goes, it could be a switcheroo. He doesn't believe it's the Vikings. Do you think it's time to move off OBJ in Cleveland?
I do not. I do not think it's time. I know we're so quick to throw someone away or get rid of someone or write someone off, but we have to understand, like, what happens in the national football, in sports, in life, anytime you've achieved or reached a certain level of success, that's the bar. And so if you don't exceed that and go further beyond that, and you fall short of what you once were, no one cares the reasons why. No one cares, he wasn't healthy. No one cares, he didn't have a really good quarterback play. No one cares his offensive coordinator, head coach was not a great play caller, didn't put him in great positions. No one cares about any of the other variables. But OBJ is sitting there like, look, man, I can only do what I can do. And so when you now bring in a new head coach, Stefanski, we saw what he was able to do here in Minneapolis with the Vikings, with two really good receivers, with a quarterback that was questioned, with offensive line play that had to be elevated. We saw what he was able to do with those pieces that he was given. And to not give that a chance to just walk away from that when it could potentially strike gold, and it's premature, and it's one of those situations where if I'm Cleveland and I'm Stefanski, I'm like, no, we will make it work. Give it a try, because you would have a third-year Baker Mayfield, second year with Odell Beckham, obviously no off season up to now. But you would still have something to build off of. You would have some good, you would have some bad, and you would be able to go back to the drawing board and say, look, guys, this is what we're going to do to make this work. And it's how it's going to work because of relationships that are now created and established and have kind of been through the fire a little bit. I don't think you move on from them just yet.
You know, Baker Mayfield had his birthday yesterday. I wished him a happy birthday. Did you?
Happy birthday, Baker.
Greg Jennings! Good talking to you, bud.
Likewise, man. Stay safe, fellas.
All right, Greg Jennings. Good stuff today. Good. I tell you what, boy, we got... Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.